April 2nd, regular meeting. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome Gavin Schwartz, a new alternate.
Hi, Gavin.
His first meeting, I believe. Good, welcome. We have a full complement of members, so we don't have to appoint any alternates. First order of business is appointment to replace a vacancy on the Design Review Board. The recommendation is made of Elaine Lang. Could I have a motion?
I move to appoint Elaine Lang to fill a vacancy on the Design Review Board.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good, we need that. There are other alternate vacancies as well, if you guys talk to your town committee guys. They could use some more
Yeah, they could.
alternates. Two sets of minutes. There's a March 1st, 2018 special meeting of the subcommittee. There a motion on those minutes, or are they, any comments on those minutes? Those of you who were at that meeting? Donna, anything?
No, don't see anything.
Bruce?
No, I read those minutes, and I think they're accurate as they were submitted, so I move that we approve them as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those minutes are accepted. We have a March 19th,
Wasn't here.
2018 regular meeting minutes.
Dave, those minutes were approved at our last meeting. They're in the minutes from the last meeting, the approval of,
March 19th?
yeah.
The
Oh,
March 1st?
excuse me, March
5th.
March 5th was approved at the last meeting, so
Right.
you're asking about the minutes of March 19th
March
right now.
19th, that's the lightning meeting.
Right.
Yes.
It is so fast, it was got the wrong year.
My bad.
I move approval of those minutes as they were submitted also,
Okay.
March 19th.
Any
It
comments?
changes
The
it
second?
just changed it to the 2018 instead of last year.
Yeah, it says 2018, 2017. Okay, with that modification, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Did those
Okay.
special meetings.
Minutes are accepted. Okay, the first thing is a public hearing. Brian Dorr and Joshua Bodian, Up Top Barber Shop. Would you read the call, Mr. Secretary?
Application 1812 of Brian Dorr and Joshua Bodian, Up Top Barbershop Agent Nader Lamage,
Natty.
owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section C3I of the Town of Simsbury zoning regs for an amendment to the Unified Sign Plan for signage for Up Top Barbershop on the property located at 244 Farms Village Road. Assessors map C10, block 418, lot 016, zone B3.
Thank you. All right, you guys want to tell us what you're doing?
Pretty much just came in, opened a new barber shop, and we have a new sign up, and we just like to keep it up. It matches everything else in the plaza. It's all of the same size, same shape.
We used existing brackets that were already there, same exact size sign that was already up. We just replaced this one with that one.
Okay.
Actually, I need to say who they were.
Oh, yes, just say who you are, please.
I'm Josh, I'm sorry.
Your name and your address.
I'm Brian Dower, from 28 Woodhaven Drive in Burlington, Connecticut.
Okay,
Joshua Boyden, 32 Litchfield Drive, Enfield, Connecticut.
okay. Good, thank you. People in the members of the commission have questions or comments for the applicant?
Well, I'll start, Dave. I'm not sure if staff or others have alerted you that there are regulations governing signage, business signage in town, and there is a plan that was submitted and approved at some point in the past that relates to the plaza where your business is.
Yep.
And from the material that was given to us, it seems that the approval for the building that you're in, the space that you're in, is 6 square foot sign. 6 square feet. The sign that you have installed already is 19 point something square feet. So we were asked to approve the sign that you guys put up, even though it replaces one that you're suggesting was the same size. But the 19 feet causes the need for an approval by the commission of a special exception. And so you're here applying for a special exception.
Correct.
And the regulation says that the commission can approve more signage if it's in their judgment that related sign requirements for this business are of such a peculiar or extraordinary nature as to require such variation, the 19 feet. I'm not sure if you have something to say about that, because I don't see any information that presents this peculiar or extraordinary circumstance that justifies 19 square feet versus 6 square feet that apparently the plan that was approved for your closet calls for. Now, I know you didn't talk about that, so I'm not sure that you know it, but our ability to approve it is based on the need being explainable as peculiar or extraordinary nature of the signage requirement for your business. So I don't know if you want to address that. Are there unique requirements that you know of that support a 19 square foot sign versus a 6 foot sign that is in the plan and was submitted as representing the signage plan for the plaza?
I think we just want a level playing field, same size sign as everybody else in the plaza, and I mean, we're already kind of tucked in the corner as it is. So
And we weren't aware of anything really. We just, the sign up there before was the same, and the brackets had been there for however many years.
I'm the owner of the property, and when I bought the property, usually like plazas have same size for everybody. You can tell it's small space and you have small size. So I'm the hallway plaza, I worked for 25 years, everybody has the same size. And when I bought the plaza, that sign was there. So it's 7 years, so I want my plaza to look the same, everybody have to have the same, to look good. I never think small building have to have a small, is hiding over there behind. So I think it was the same size all the tenant, and the guys, I said, okay, you put the sign. Somebody called us and they said the sign is supposed to be smaller, like.
Well, that's what we have to look at. I mean, that's
I
what
know,
we're
but
given. Is the plan, is you're the owner.
I checked the plan and I say, make no sense, because to look the plaza at Simsbury to look good, you need the same size. I want to do the color to look same color everybody, but I'm trying. I think the sign, because the front of the building, you can see from the road, they have the same size like them. So the guys, these guys behind, they have to have a small and nobody can see there. It's like, look good. So I think every tenant is supposed to have the same size. I don't know, the first owner don't take the same size for everybody, so the plaza look better that way, so.
Can we get some clarity from staff on that?
Yeah.
So in my staff report, you have a picture of their proposed sign, which is Exhibit 2, I believe. That's what they're looking to get. It's up already. On the second page of my staff report is a picture that was submitted by Josh that shows the Red's Barber sign, which was up previously for the previous tenant. The site, according to the Unified Sign Plan, based on the building frontages, is permitted 306 square feet of signage. That was modified in when this was approved back in the 90s, there's 200 293.8 square feet total of builded mountain sign and freestanding. That was modified in 2009, you have 282.7 square feet. So to get back to what the issue is, the blue building, which is on the top of the map for the approved site, as Commissioner Elliott noted earlier, was approved only for 12 square feet of signage. So 2 little 3x2 plaques were supposed to go up. Somehow, some way, this red barber shop went up without the benefit of approvals.
No, it was before too. One of my tenant before account, they have the
But-
same, the bracket been for 30
Excuse
years
me.
then. Sorry.
Staff is explaining.
This was never blessed or approved by the commission. So there's been some sort of signage there, this dimensions for a while. We'll just go with that then. If the commission were to entertain this, you would be increasing the overall square footage for signage from 12 to 25.8 square feet for the blue building, for a total of the remaining 9.1 square feet remaining under the code. So under the code, they can increase this size. This is not going above and beyond what they're allowed under the existing zoning regulations. What really tonight is modifying the approved unified sign plan for this site. So
Specifically for that building.
from, if you want to talk dimensional wise, this conforms to the zoning regs. However, its design standpoint, which the applicant has provided the commission several pictures that are Exhibit 3 and Exhibit 4, and if you don't have copies in your packet, I can show them to you.
No, we don't.
And maybe this could assist in the conversation for the applicant. These are your pictures? Yes. Okay. So this is looking from Farms Village to the plaza, the site's here.
Oh, yeah, we
Where
had
they're
this
going.
online, we had this.
It was online?
Yep.
And maybe this would be the one that really shows. This is at the entrance at Farms Village, looking north into the plaza, exhibit number 5. If you had a placard on like of the 12 square feet, you wouldn't even see that this corner of the building had a commercial tenant there. So this larger sign at least assists them with directing the general public to the tenant location.
When you were doing your calcs, were you doing the sign that we approved a while ago on the end of?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Battison, that was Battison's
Battison.
dry cleaners, and there was another sign. That's the original 239.8 that includes it. The last page of that unified sign plan has the Battison sign, which then subsequent approvals for change of tenants out there referred to the design of the Battison sign. For the most part, they held to that. Like I said, I think it was 2009, 2011 is when the commission last modified the unified sign plan for this plaza and increased it to the current
306.
306 is the max, 282.7.
So Mike, let me see if I got what you said. In a nutshell, something changed with the building. It looks to me like the space adjacent to their barber shop, or maybe, I don't know which building, the architectural drawing, the south elevation, of the blue building, doesn't really seem to me to match what's there now. So I'm guessing that the increase from 239 square feet to 270 might have been associated with the addition to the building sometime. I mean, we're looking at, these drawings are all, there's a signature of William somebody from 1991. And it was later than that that you report that there was an increase in the square footage, so I'm assuming the building was modified. So what I'm wondering about is, then we're not necessarily needing to approve this particular sign. What they're applying for is a revision, approval of a revision to the signage plan for the property. And so, then if it's the owner's wish to have these signs differentiated by, proximity to Farms Village Road or sight lines or whatever, I'm not sure that we need to be too concerned about that. If the total square footage inclusive of this sign is under the 270 square feet, then
Under the 306.
306.
306, then it's consistent with our regulation. It doesn't need a special exception. Am I right?
No, you have, because you're increasing the size of a tenant sign, and it's a unified sign plan, you have to, under the regs, modify that unified sign plan. But this isn't a situation where you're going above and beyond what's permitted by the zoning
But
regulations.
all we're doing is then
Modifying.
approving the unified sign plan at 300 and something square feet.
Well, actually, we're doing 290.
And we leave it to the owner to
We should go 306.
allocate as he desires, as long as it doesn't go over that, right? I mean, the criteria he uses is really, he has a great deal of latitude as the owner to allocate per tenant as he so desires. Again, if criteria has to do with sight lines or whatever, that's, so, the theory is if they're at the maximum, if they were at 306 and he wanted a larger sign, then somebody's got to get a smaller sign. Right?
Mhm.
But that isn't the case here.
Correct.
Yeah, this is one of those unique situations where this plaza did not max out their signage when the first unified sign plan was approved.
Right.
So, but still, in order to modify the signs contained in a unified sign plan under your regs, you have to modify that unified sign plan. So that's why it's a little different than the other special exception where it's, you're providing almost a hardship similar to a ZBA application, of why the regulations present an undue hardship for restrict trade.
Is there anything in part of this application that says what the new total will be?
The new total will be, I can do the math quick.
I think it's 306 minus 9.1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any reason we wouldn't just say 306?
That's why I was wondering, did they ever specify the total?
Why wouldn't we just go
'Cause
for 306?
They specified 19.8 square feet specific to this tenant location. So I would say stick to the
Exactly.
exact amount that has been requested. Just so, their application said 19.8, so we don't run afoul of a issue of notice.
Any more questions in commission?
No.
Alternates may ask questions during public audience, so. Anybody in the public want to speak to this application? Going once? Okay, go on. You prepared to close this?
Yeah, I move that we close application, the public hearing on application 1812.
Second it?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 6-0. It's closed. Okay, and the first order of business is to consider, if we wish, the application 1812 for a modification to their unified sign plan.
Let me just raise it again, maybe it's a staff question for staff, that we're relying on a chart that is on exhibit, whatever this is, Mike, but it's the sign plan, the signage specification per building. And I'm, to come up to the 306 square feet, this is an allocation. The table is set up so there's a total square footage per location in the right-hand column. And so I'm interested in whether, and what adjustments need to be made to get it to the 306.
I don't think
That-
we're going to 306.
We're going to 295.9.
They're not 306, 295, that's right.
But regardless of that, that's not on their application.
That
that?
The
chart.
application is to add 19 point something square feet of signage for this specific part of the site. So that's what we're discussing.
Uh,
But-
Right.
But it needs to be part of the uniform, yeah, so.
But if
Absolutely.
the
the
unified
catch.
sign plan,
That's
if
why I was
under
wondering if it
other,
was part of the application to have it right, because you'll need a diagram
Right.
like this in the future.
Yeah.
That spells out
if
how it's gonna
other
be
owners
allocated.
have also lost track of how large exactly the signs are on these other properties, they could be over that already.
That's fair.
So if we're asked to endorse a modified sign plan,
Where is it?
I guess I'm not offering a conclusion right now, I just raised the issue. It leaves me a little bit uncomfortable without having anyone attest to the fact that the sizes of the signs that are on the other shops in the plaza are known, and the total of the other shops plus this one are 306. And by this one, I mean 19.8 square feet.
So
not-
would we make a motion, if we were going to make a motion to approve, new unified sign plan and to
Maybe-
legalize the existing sign, but the new approved unified sign plan not to exceed 306 square, would that make, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know, and
No,
leave it
but
to
it-
the staff to verify before
Right.
it's over.
So would that be a good way to approve it?
I would, I know, stick to their request, and if it was a concern about whether they conform to the regs, is require a verification be submitted by the applicant for issuance of a zoning permit of the existing signage for the plaza. So it'd just be, that 1991 sign could be, a plan could be revised showing existing square footage, then that a zoning permit would not be issued until that revised document was submitted. The only issue I'm hesitant with agreeing with that is that because their request was so specific to the 19.8,
19.8.
you could run afoul because you're increasing what was requested of FOI for noticing requirements.
So we would make a motion to approve the sign area of 19.8 square footage with a recommendation for a zoning,
Subject to
okay.
condition that a revised sign plan be submitted for issuance of a zoning permit. And that way, that'll document what's out there along with the new one, and then subsequent owner, let's say I buy the plaza from Nadir, there'll be a 2018 plan that has the reference of all these signs.
And that revised sign plan will be on the special exception?
You could require that that's filed on land records if you want.
I mean, that's
That's,
what we're trying to keep straight.
the notice of grant will obviously be required to be filed on the land records, so they can't get a zoning permit until that notice of grant is filed. So you have two safety checks on this one.
Yeah, but I think we're looking to see this table be updated so that,
Right. You could require that's filed on the land records along with the notice of grant.
We
That
don't normally put those on the land records, do we?
rarely.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go that far, because there's a filing cost involved with that. I just think we need to have it. in the
Revised for
zoning law.
issuance of a zoning permit. Okay. No, I just wanted to give you both options for you.
so, did you make a motion?
I
Well,
will.
Just one more question, I can't.
I probably
resist.
won't make it right.
One
Sorry,
more question.
Sorry, Bruce has a question.
I'm still unclear that our regulation calls for the special exception. The special exception can be approved if the commission determines that there's, the increased sign requirements are associated with such peculiar and ordinary nature of the business as to require it. And I'm still not hearing that.
It is peculiar.
It's not a special
No, it's
exception.
not.
No.
Where
But
that
it's not a-
sign is located?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, but the thing is,
It's not a.
if they're entitled, if the owner's entitled to 306
Right.
total square feet of
Right.
signage,
Which they are.
and this is under that.
Right.
Then there's no need for, it's not a special exception. They don't have to
Right.
justify it under peculiar and extraordinary circumstances.
They
Right.
do need approval of a new sign area of 19.8.
Actually, a site plan amendment. isn't
That's,
it?
It would really only be 13 point whatever, because they've already got
'Cause
the
it's already-
6 in the plan. The signage plan calls for 6 square feet on that space, and they want to put a sign up. They have put up a sign that's 19.8, so the increase is really 13.8. It's not 19.
just reading how they approve, how they
Right.
applied
I know.
for it. Again, we're just trying to keep
They
it
applied
straight.
for a special exception,
Yeah.
and
You don't need a special exception.
perhaps they don't need it, but
Yeah.
if we approve it, then it's
Okay.
okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. You make
The motion to approve.
Go.
Make a motion, Jackie.
I am going to make a motion to approve application 18-12 of Brian Dorr and Joshua Bodian, Up Top Barbershop Agents, Nadir Lama, owner, for special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section C.3.I of the Town of Simsbury zoning regulations for an amendment to the unified sign plan for signage for Up Top Barbershop on the property located at 244 Farms Village Road. The special exception approval is subject to the following conditions. An administrative zoning permit is required to legalize the existing sign, and the sign area, square footage, 19.8 square feet, and then this is subject to a revised sign plan in order to get a zoning permit. Somebody needs to second that.
I'll second that.
Bruce seconded it, okay.
Making sure you're done.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you.
Welcome. I wish you much success.
Yes.
I've already had it.
All right, the next application is 18-14 of McLean Affiliates, owner, for site plan amendment for modifications to the courtyard and property located at 75 Great Pond Road.
Good evening, I'm Brian Deno from Deno Land Surveying, here to speak on behalf of McLean's. With me is Fred Locker from McLean's. Got to change from the original application. Actually, the application was smaller.
Thank you.
This is the architect's rendering of the different surface finishes. They're using different colors to differentiate between different paths on the property. It's all concrete, but it will have different stamps and different color finishes. And it's all concrete because we do have people with wheelchairs and walkers in the area. What they're looking to do here is update and revamp the courtyard. The courtyard is part of the facility all the way to the rear of McLean's. McLean's is, I believe, a 102.9 acre retirement facility, and it has cottages and single-family homes here, and this is the care facility in the back. And the courtyard is in the crook of the whole
Excuse
building.
me, could you slide over a little? I
I'm
can't
sorry.
see that, John.
Yep, with an access road that goes from the main parking lot and the main entrance, past the building, to more parking over here, and it goes down there to the other entrance and the other offices. What we have is we have an existing courtyard that is actually kind of old and in disrepair, so we're going to remove all the pavement in the courtyard. We've hired save a tree, to evaluate the trees, remove the unhealthy trees, prune the ones that can be pruned and save them. But we will lose a few trees with the new layout. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove all that, remove the gazebo, which is deteriorating, remove some sheds. We're gonna save the koi pond here, remove the raised planters here, and there's also a koi pond there that will be removed. And then, as you can see on your plan, we wanna make a elliptical walk attached to the existing entrances, put in some sheds for equipment and lawn furniture and storage, put in a shaded area for people to sit on concrete. And then for drainage, there's existing low spots around the site. So we're gonna enhance those, regrade, most of the grading is only like half a foot, maybe at the most. So we really won't disturb the roots or anything. We'll enhance the low spots there just to get the water directed away from the building and into the low spots, and a low spot here. And this is another sitting area here, a new gazebo. And we'll also protect the site with a fence, a wrought iron fence, to protect the residents that should not be wandering from wandering. And as you can see on your plan, there's actually some extensive landscaping that's gonna go on. There's gonna be all rose bushes put in here. We have some new specific trees here, some shade blows, some dogwood, magnolias, and then we have plantings around the new gazebo, plantings all around the fence, just to brighten it up. We have emergency access here, and in our original proposal, we were gonna have the fence go out here and rebuild the access road, but now the access road's gonna stay, and we are not gonna relocate the hydrant. We also are gonna replace all the lights. We only have 3 tall light poles now. Existing is 7, those will be removed. We'll put in 3 new ones. We have a bunch of bollards that are this tall, and then some ground effect lights in here, some that shine on the ground and shine on the trees.
What's the purpose of bollards?
They're with lights in them. They're lighted bollards to match the existing ones that are on the site.
Sounds like a nice plan. Looks like a nice plan.
It'll definitely improve the site from what we have. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We are reducing the hard surface by 29%, and hopefully making it much safer. Right now, David's kind of beat up all this concrete, the different colors, and also we had someone look at it for safety for wheelchairs and walkers, so we don't have any ruts that they get stuck in. Happy to answer any questions, or Craig can also help if you have
What's
questions.
an enhanced low spot?
Well, there's low spots that exist now,
But how is it enhanced?
but they're kind of not, we're gonna make them so they're nice even grades, we don't get puddles outside them. So we're gonna take and just, shave it and backblade it so we get all the water here. Like right now, there's like a little pond here, so what we wanna do is we wanna reshape it. And it's just really gonna,
really gonna
removing some
concentrate
topsoil and just
the water,
redoing the
yeah.
topsoil, so we can get the water into the low spots here. The last thing we want is any ponding on the concrete, on the rocks.
Let me just ask you this should be old, I think, but we have a letter from the town engineer regarding his evaluation of your proposal, and he raised a variety of concerns. One of them I noticed had to do with details of the hydrant relocation. Seems like you've resolved that by determining how to relocate.
Yes.
Have you either discussed and gotten a revision to these conditions in a sense from the town?
Yes, he issued a new letter this afternoon.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we
Yes.
got it.
We do.
His comment this afternoon, I believe, his biggest one was, we do have a sanitary manhole in the walkway
Yep.
over by the fire pit. So he would like to either see me rotate the walk a little bit, so it's not in there, or put in a solid cover on the manhole and reset the top of the frame to make sure it's flat and even, it's not a tripping hazard.
Okay.
So I contacted the architect this afternoon after I got his letter, and she's looking into that, but I haven't got an answer. I mean, the easiest thing is probably just to rotate it a little, it's not gonna increase our hard surface much. But if she wants to just put a new top on it, put a solid top, the new holes in it, so we don't get anybody stuck in it, to do that.
Just one more, off the engineer's questions too. He points out that it's necessary to have the drawings, engineering drawings, signed by a licensed engineer.
Yes.
I wonder if you've taken care of that too?
Yes, I do have a licensed PE that works with me, Michael Sherpack, and he
Okay.
signed a letter too.
Let me just ask you this for my own notification. Are all of these considered engineered drawings, or is it just?
No, a layout plan is done by a surveyor, something that shows grading. If it's a grading plan like this, it has to be done by an engineer. If I did a road, if I designed a road inside a subdivision, I, as a surveyor, am allowed by state statute to do the grading of the road, the profile. I'm not allowed to do the storm drainage, and I'm not allowed to do the sanitary sewer. That you need a civil engineer for.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Any other questions?
Well, I'll offer one more comment. It's been a couple of years since I was in that courtyard, but this is a great improvement on
Yes.
what I saw, what I remember from that courtyard, so. Thanks.
Jackie?
I think it's a great plan, and it is a very nice improvement. I don't have any other questions because we got so many details on this ahead of time.
I'm all set, thank you.
Can we have a motion? Staff has given us a draft.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve application 1814 of McLean Associates, Inc., owner for site plan amendment for the property located at 75 Great Pond Road. Site plan amendment approval is subject to the following conditions. 1, an administrative zoning permit is required for the courtyard improvements and construction of the structures. 2, final plans are to be signed and stamped by a professional engineer for issuance of an administrative zoning permit. 3, a pre-construction meeting is required with the zoning enforcement officer prior to the start of the work site, of the site work. And 4, the zoning commissioner authorizes staff on behalf of them to approve minor modifications to the approved plans, such as changes to grading and/or landscaping. Said requests for changes are to be made in writing and approved by planning department staff prior to implementation in the field.
I'll second.
Second by Donna. More discussions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Application 1815 of Michael Glidden for text amendments. We need to schedule a public hearing.
It's already been scheduled.
It's scheduled for 4/16.
So we can just table this.
Table that one.
We have a motion to table this.
Move that we table application 1815.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. New business, we've got a application 18-16, St. Mary's Church. There's some changes to their site plan amendment.
You needed, no,
Name and,
Name, rank, and serial number?
My name is Henry Thomas. I'm a principal and landscape architect with the LRC Group. With me tonight is Hugh Pearson, architect with Moser Pylon Nelson Architects. We were here last fall, as you may recall, with the site plan application for St. Mary's Church and School. Excuse me. And we are here for an amendment to that approved plan, which from a site plan perspective, you would not be able to discern the differences, because the site plan at this point simply accounts for the conditions of approval that we received from the last review and permit, as well as adjustment to our stormwater calculations, which we've also submitted. So the site plan isn't really the reason we're here. That reason is for an adjustment to the building that is being proposed, and I would describe it as a reduction in height, or you could describe it as a reduction in stories. The proposal now is for a single-story building instead of a two-story building. That proposal has been before the Design Review Board, both informally and formally, and Hugh was there, in fact, this evening. to review the work in progress. And unless there are any questions in regards to the site, I'm going to turn this over and make it an architectural presentation, just so you are aware of what we've put forth before them. So,
Good evening. So as Henry said, I'll skip the site drawing and jump into the architectural portion of it. And it's quite simple, that we had a two-story building that was what the church was hoping to build in terms of their programmatic needs and so forth. A little bit of the archdiocese is very concerned about overall budgets and expenditures and taking on further indebtedness. So they sort of capped them at sort of being able to borrow up to what their pledges and so forth could currently sustain. And so it was more of a short-term loan, not a long-term borrowing process. That forced them into a significant reduction in their budget, and the best solution was to reduce it from the two-story down to a single-story, essentially keeping the footprint in the ground identical, being consistent with parking spaces, the site layout, all the calculations for with the wetlands and drainage and all that, keeping that pretty much as is. What you see before you is a rendering of looking at the single-story building. We have similar materials, similar roof lines. There are some minor adjustments here and there, but proportions of sort of brick and a cementitious siding board are comparable. Windows are aluminum as they were before. The shingles on the roof are a slate line style of shingles, so they are an asphalt-based shingle, but they have that profile and appearance of slate comparable to the church's roof. One of the significant design changes that was encountered prior to, with our second story, this small projection here was a little further to the north. Once the building came down, the proportions changed, and we converted this more from what was a small hip dormer into a gable end dormer, and by also moving it a little to the south, it helped to break up what was a larger expanse of sort of gray hip roof. So the proportions of it, generally speaking, are comparable to what they were, but that is perhaps the significant change. Some of the other changes in terms of some of the brickwork and detail were just reduced in scale proportional to the previous scale that was there. And we do have, it's a little bit more of a pediment appeal as opposed to some very large piers before. And on the front entrance here, we've captured a medallion identity, which reflects the rosette window, which is behind the altar, which faces to Iron Horse Boulevard. So that is sort of their identity signature. We wanted to bring that in. At least it's an element that as you would drive by or come on site, you would say, okay, that must be the entrance, and it calls to you. Where the rest of the facade is a siding, and within this pediment here, we're looking at a shape style of material, but of the comparable cementitious siding material.
So what is the material for the medallion?
Well, honestly, haven't figured that out just yet, but it would be a surface applied item on top of what is this hardy board or cementitious siding material. So it'll have some dimension to it, and it's just probably, it becomes like a PVC type of material that is permanent and easily cleanable, power washed or whatever it would need to be there. It was suggested from the design review board that wouldn't it be great if it was another stained glass element? But of course, at that point then, the chairman of the building committee was here for that meeting, asked for donations towards that purpose. And it went no further than that. On the back side of the building, again, very comparable to what was there. This is a through entrance to the main entrance. So that becomes the primary church entrance, and the school entrance is down on this other end with its small connector into the school itself. The significant change there is this was full brick. It was the same height before, but it was full brick. We've reduced So we've introduced some siding with less amount of brick there, consistent with the primary facade. So we have sort of the two brick elements with their pediments, both front and back.
The yellowish material there is what? Is that just?
The siding material?
Yeah.
It's hardy board or hardy
It
plank.
doesn't show any lines.
So it's a cementitious. Lines are faint
Okay.
in this, but, so it'll have a very clapboard look to it, and there's actually, it's a complete knockoff of a clapboard style. So it has a little shelf to it and a reveal, so it'll create a bit of a shadow line down the facade. And again, in this pediment over the school entrance, that'll be a shake style. This other pediment here over the primary entrance will be a louver, which is a functional mechanical louver tied into an air handler system, which is up into the attic space. And so that will feed ductwork throughout the attic for heating and air conditioning of the one-story building.
At the back of the church itself, do I see a handicap access ramp?
This is an existing ramp here.
That's existing, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're shortening the wall slightly here because of the grading in the lot that is occurring here, so actually shortening some of that existing ramp.
The ramp gets shorter
a few
because we
feet.
actually are holding up grade just a little bit there.
Is an elevator still part of the program?
It is.
And where does that, I mean, I realize that doesn't change the footprint, but where is the elevator?
This is the primary entrance, which runs east to west right through, and the elevator is probably just exactly behind this window. There's a stair here that will run down to the basement, and then just behind that, as the roof climbs up in elevation, the elevator will be there. The elevator feeding the top story of here and only going down to the basement and feeding an intermediate level to the church. So there's plenty of headroom and overall, so it fits within and underneath the roof.
So it's an elevator cab, or is it
Yes.
that's one of those sort of platform?
It will have its square shaft with a flat roof for it, so it creates a shaft within the roof overhead.
But it's a cabbed elevator. is
Yes.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
And where's all the HVAC? Is it all inside?
The HVAC will be within the attic, it'll be a mechanical unit in here. There are some condensing units that we're looking to locate on. There's a small, which is now the existing church, stair. So you come in at grade, you go up a half level into the church, or down a half level into the church basement. So there's a small roof in here, we're putting a condensing unit up there. So that's the noisy mechanical part of it, and the other air handler unit within the church attic, so within the connector attic, is essentially the fan box that pushes the air.
Is there anything to screen that from your back parking lot, or is it inside?
There's a bit of a parapet here that we're looking at, and once we determine the exact unit size, it may project up a bit, so we're anticipating a guard across here that is first required by OSHA, but more of a guard rail with pickets, so that it's a screening element, not just exposed to the view.
And is the names part of, signage part of this application or not?
Sort of informally, we talked about it in terms of having lettering over the school entrance and over the main entrance on the Hot Meadow side.
But is it part of the application or not?
I guess it is not specifically.
No, you
It's- we've made-
To amend the site plan.
We were leaving the ground-mounted sign signage that's already in front of both buildings as is. I guess I wasn't aware that there was any graphic.
We got one on the front, one on the back.
They could amend their application to include the signage, and they still are in the required posting the sign right now, so it wouldn't,
All right, so
once
now-
again, run afoul of informational, because the commission really, because they're still have to post their sign, really, this should be tabled for the next meeting in 2 weeks. So that would address those two issues.
Okay.
Unless if there's any other issues that these gentlemen have from the commission.
What was in the back there with a little checker marks on the drive? is that indicating?
Back in here?
Yeah, it was too small on our,
No, those are stormwater chambers.
okay, so they're under the
They're
surface,
under-
okay.
Under
all
the
right.
pavement surface, yeah, they shouldn't be showing up on that particular
Remember that,
drawing.
Kevin? They have like this huge plan of all the water, where all the water's gonna, do you remember that?
No, but it was just,
Yeah.
when you're looking at it.
It's
on the
not
line,
one
it
you'd
was
see
very hard
on
to
this
tell.
kind
Yeah,
of
it should have
drawing
been on-
usually, yes.
I thought it was a line marking of some sort.
It's a really long hopscotch.
You start first.
Olympic level hopscotch.
And you still have the gate, so all that has not changed?
The traffic plan?
Yeah, all the circulation all remains
But
constant.
there was gonna be a gate, I thought, after the circle, yeah.
Oh, yes, that gate, yep, yes. Yeah, so we've made no changes to the circulation. We did actually, though, drop one parking space to make an entrance island at that door to the school, which we previously didn't have and really should have.
Are those handicap spots?
Not there,
No,
but
but-
these,
okay.
there's 4 right here, and then we have one more on that side, the front side.
Do I recall that currently there is a gate somewhere that they,
There is a gate,
oh, okay.
So they
over
all back up
here.
and down.
Yeah, that's the only one though.
That's correct, that's the only one.
There's no plan to change that.
Well,
Is that the case?
Depends who
No,
you
the
talk
whole
to.
circulation's different now.
the applicant would not like to have that modified, but the DOT district office is not a fan of that because of the stoplight there. Even though there's no history of anything, they're concerned about someone making a turn when the gate is closed and then with a big truck and not being able to turn around. Obviously, the church is concerned about the protective measure that it provides. That is not a closed conversation in my mind yet, because the safety is really sort of paramount from the client's perspective.
Yeah.
So it is, I did actually, now I see that I noted that as removed because of that last piece of evidence I was getting from the DOT. But I would like that not to be the case, so I shouldn't have had that on there. Because I didn't consider it closed, but that was the way it was sounding. So, I don't know.
So by our endorsement of your site approval, a site plan amendment, you're thinking that we're at risk of endorsing something?
Well, no, I'm saying I should change that before you take
Right,
any action.
before next meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make that commitment yet.
Right.
But I didn't think I had a choice, but I've been encouraged to keep swinging at that one for a while. So.
Encourages, nice.
Yes, yeah.
Refresh my memory on where the bus drop-off was?
The bus drop-off, so now in the morning, or actually at all times, bus traffic will now be going in through this light entrance. And they'll be going in, circling around and queuing up here and doing their drop and leave. And this is different than a conventional school because they don't get 6 buses in a row. Because they're staggered and coming from so many different locations, they don't queue up as conventionally. But so both in terms of drop-off and pickup, they will do this. Parents now will enter at this curve, and they'll be going around.
Could you step back a little? I can't see what you're pointing
Yes.
at. Here.
We're gonna do this. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. Parents now will be coming in at this entrance and circulating to this area where they will park or be able to drop, but they will use this and exit at the light. So now all of that traffic exits at the light. Parents who arrive earlier than they should will now be queued up on site instead of
On Route 10.
queuing up on Route 10. To us, that's a pretty
Now
substantial
queue up
change.
because the
Yeah.
gate's closed?
Yes.
Correct, because the gate won't open until a fixed time at the end of kids being out there.
Or in the morning?
In the morning, it'll be open, but once those hours have passed,
I got it.
that gate closes.
Gotcha.
Right. So it'll operate similar to the way they do that in terms of being open.
Basically, you have the buses doing a U-turn. Is the readiness is okay there?
Yeah, we've modeled it a bunch of times.
Could you show me again with the buses, because I didn't.
Yes, I'm sorry. The buses will be entering and exiting at the light, so they will come
It's
in,
gonna be very-
circulate
Oh,
through
okay.
this lot, and bring themselves aligned to this side of the school building, and then exit back out the light as well.
And currently, the number of buses is about 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon? Or is it more than that?
I think it's more like 7 to 8.
Okay.
But, and they're not all big buses, there's about 4 that are big and a bunch that are short.
They're almost empty.
And they're staggered.
Yes, because they serve different districts.
And if
They
they're anything
don't.
like the high school buses, they're mostly empty.
Surprisingly, yes, it is a funny thing to see, yes.
Mind-boggling.
State statute, isn't it? You have to have as many bus seats as you have the potential of carrying
Well,
kids.
but then again, I don't know how many kids got off at other towns before they got here, so that may be the case. Or vice versa.
So, I got it. Now, what is the idea? We would come back to our next meeting
Come back.
and share what
What
are the
I think
pending
the only
items?
thing we would share then is if you have some paperwork from the design review board.
Perfect.
Well, you were at the meeting. What did they,
I was at the meeting earlier tonight, so they were all in favor. We met 2 weeks earlier, a few small suggestions in terms of sort of the shakes and breaking up the pediment color a little bit. So while they are trimmed in a whiter shade, the darker field of it will be that sort of muted tone of the shade. So that was a part of it. We presented to them last time that we shifted that projection a little to the south, so that helped with the balance of the building. I think, honestly, the only real change from last time was sort of that field within the pediment.
So other than wanting the stained glass, everybody's on board.
Everybody seemed to be on board. It was a fast 5-minute
Great.
presentation and approval.
It looks great. It's a very nice plan, even from the changes you had to make it.
As much as the church has given up a lot in terms of program space,
Right.
everybody seems to be more favorable to the size, scale,
Good.
mass of the building.
That's good.
And
It works really nice in the space.
This site plan doesn't have any entrance to the north entrance, right? Or is it just in the green? To the new building?
New building.
no, there's no new curb cuts.
No, but
No,
where is
same
the,
curve.
no, it's into the building.
Oh, yeah, there's an entrance there.
Yeah,
This is the one that,
Isn't there one down further to the left, or is that?
there is way back here on the
No, the
inside.
other pediment.
no, that's simply
Oh.
an architectural,
Oh,
Yeah.
what? Okay.
that was something to help break up the mass of
Yeah.
the building, because once you had the one singular entrance, then you all of a sudden had a long stretch of wall,
Yeah.
and not a lot
And
going
windows.
on.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-bay window in front of their reading library area.
But it looks nice.
Does look nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're coming back in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Correct.
Good, thank you very much.
So this item
Motion,
just
do we
is,
need to move to table? Yeah, I move to
Table.
table application 1816 to our next meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0, it's tabled. Okay, Mr. Staff and Mr. Clerk. Anything from,
No correspondence for you. And then Jamie did not have a report for zoning regulations amendments on here for me this evening. So, that's all I have.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
motion by Kevin, second by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned, thank you.
I am running to Farmington.